So, what? Yeah.
I'm just thinking of
We
something.
do it if you want, because if you want to cover the ground we covered in a different way.
Oh,
Just use it
no,
anyway.
I was just thinking that there was a policeman in one of the groups, and he's now in protection services in the mine. And his reflection after the 2-day workshop said the conversation around race is always so loaded, and what he called political. But we're having those political conversations anyway. But he said the way we had the conversation enabled him to speak about it in a way that is lighter and away from him. So we can collectively look at what we have constructed in terms of racism in South Africa and then rewrite the story about that. So it's no longer this heavy subject where I feel that I can do nothing but to remove myself from the situation, because it's overwhelming at times.
So you changed the context. And now you said moving away. Say a little bit, but the narrative work creates distance between you and the story.
Yes,
So say a little bit about that. Let's go talk about narrative work in general.
Okay. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us, because in our culture we internalize problems. So we look at a person and say they are the depressed person or the dysfunctional family. So they become the problem. And so they can do nothing with themselves but remove themselves out of this world, and then the problem goes away. And so what we help people to do, because the problem was created in a narrative anyway. So we, through various ways, the first one being naming the problem in your own language. And then for sometimes people find that to be kind of a sin or something they've done wrong, because the problem's been part of them for so long that naming them is like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. So the first kind of distancing or separating from the problem is naming it. And then we explore the influence of the problem in all aspects of a person's life or a community's life. Then we look at the history, because the problem wants to tell us, I've always been there, and I'm big and important. And so they realized there was a small space in their life where the problem wasn't present at all, which is quite surprising most of the time. And then we also look at the taken for granted beliefs and ideas that inform this story and keeps it alive. And then we give people an opportunity to choose again. And this is the freedom, what we heard yesterday, that every choice then ripples.
Again without referring to yesterday.
Oh, okay. And so then we come to a point where we give people the opportunity to position, to say, this is my statement of position. This is what I think about the story. This is how I want to take my future with the story. I want to live with it, maybe. I want to let it go. And then we also talk about, if they want to let it go, what kind of ritual would be respectful, because the story served us well. It meant something for us for a very long time. So we just don't discard it. And then the same process happens when we work with a new story, if that is the preference. We name it, the influence, the taken for granted beliefs, and again a statement of position. And I think the other gift of the narrative work is that it works with a community around you. It's not about you as an individual doing this grand work in the world. It's about you and a community that supports this new narrative and gives it life.
So the last thing is, that was good. What's the new narrative that you're living into?
So the new narrative that I'm living into is called the voice of transformation in this world. My old story was called The Silent Servant. So for the first time, I'm experiencing and expressing myself in voice, and where I go, I feel that the work creates the space for transformation to happen, for things to move, because it gives the hope that I am not it that I thought was my life. It gives the possibility that not only my life can change, but everything around me can change too. So it kind of opens life in a new way and possibilities in a new way. And so I've been very privileged to be in these spaces where a person would come in the first day, and I always wish that I could take a photograph of how they look, because by the second day they look different. Something's been lifted, and so for me this is my work, and I'm so privileged to be part of that transformation. And it is really linguistic. The problem started in the narrative, and that's where we can do something about it. We're not victims of that.